Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2022 CASA Veterans Day program. This morning we have a color guard from San Diego State University. 4 hard-charging youngsters will be bringing the colors in, and then after the program they'll stay around to talk with you for a few minutes outside. When I give the command to march on the colors, I'd like everybody to please rise, if it's safe to do so. Otherwise, please stay seated. The color guard will come in, we'll do the colors, national anthem, the color guard will depart, and then we'll go into the service songs. And when we do the service songs, the words are on the back of the program, so you can join in and sing along. And again, if you have a loved one or yourself or a friend or a neighbor from that service you want to recognize, feel free to stand up, recognize them during the singing or the playing of the song, as long as it's safe to do so. Questions? Questions? Going once? March on the colors. Please rise.
Colors. Hold. Forward. March. Detail. Hold. Present. Hold. Forward. March. Left. Pace. Forward. March.
Please be seated. The words are on the back.
At 11 a.m. on November 11th, 1918, in a railway carriage in a forest clearing north of Paris, the Allied powers signed a ceasefire agreement with Germany, bringing World War I to a close. This day became known as Armistice Day. President Woodrow Wilson's proclamation declaring the first Armistice Day on November 11, 1919, began with these words: "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in our country." The first celebration included parades and public meetings, following a 2-minute suspension of business at 11 a.m. Armistice Day is officially received its name in 1926 through a congressional resolution. It became a national holiday 12 years later. If the hope that World War I was truly the war to end all wars, it might still be called Armistice Day today. But only a few years after the holiday was proclaimed, World War II broke out in Europe. The first celebration using the term Veterans Day occurred in Birmingham, Alabama in 1947. A man by the name of Raymond Weeks, a World War II veteran, organized National Veterans Day, which included a parade and other festivities. In 1954, Congress passed and President Eisenhower signed a bill which officially changed Armistice Day to Veterans Day, a day that our country recognizes all veterans of all wars. Raymond Weeks received a Presidential Citizen Medal from President Reagan in November of 1982. Veterans Day is the only national holiday which remains on its original date, November 11th.
States Military Cemetery in Arlington County, Virginia, across the Potomac River from Washington, D.C. Those who have died in the nation's conflicts are buried there in 639 acres, beginning with the Civil War, and those reinterred from earlier wars. The United States Department of Army controls the cemetery. George Washington Parke Curtis, son of Martha Washington and adopted grandson of George Washington, originally owned the land that is now Arlington National Cemetery. He built Arlington House, which he named for his village in England, where his family came. The estate passed to his daughter, Mary Anna, wife of Robert E. Lee. Due to her inheritance, she was supposed to live and run the estate for the rest of her life, but she was not allowed to sell it. From her, it passed to her son, George Washington Curtis Lee. When the Civil War broke out, Robert E. Lee resigned his commission to lead the Confederate Army, and Mary Ann believed that her estate would soon be captured by the Federal soldiers, so she buried her treasures on the grounds and left for her sister's estate in Ravensburg, Virginia. As the war progressed, the number of dead grew, and by 1863, the existing cemeteries in Washington, D.C. were full. The Quartermaster General began looking for other sites where bodies could be buried. Within weeks, his staff reported that Arlington Estate was the most suitable due to the fact that it was high and free from floods. It was a beautiful site within the view of the District of Columbia. The U.S. government acquired Arlington at a tax sale in 1864 for $26,000. They were able to acquire it because Mrs. Lee had not appeared in person in a timely manner to pay the $92,000 property tax. 10 years later, Mary Lee's son, Curtis Lee, sued the United States, claiming ownership of the Arlington. The Supreme Court ruled in his favor, and the estate was returned to him. He later sold it back to the government for $150,000, equal to $4 million today.
The Memorial Amphitheater is an outdoor amphitheater, exhibit hall, and non-sectarian chapel in Arlington National Cemetery. It was designed in 1913 as a replacement for the older wooden amphitheater near Arlington House. After 1864, due to increasing crowds at Memorial Day observances, it was decided that a formal meeting place was needed at the cemetery. A grove of close-growing trees just southwest of Arlington House was chosen as the site, and a wooden amphitheater was constructed in 1873. By the early 1900s, the amphitheater was, again, too small for the large ceremonies being held there. Judge Ivory Kimball of the Grand Army of the Republic believed that not only was a bigger facility needed, but also that the new amphitheater should represent the dead of all wars in which the nation had fought. Thanks to his efforts, the long ordeal to build such an amphitheater began. Legislation failed to pass Congress in 1905, 1907, and 1908. It wasn't until August 1914 that Congress finally appropriated money for the amphitheater's construction. Ground was broken on March 1st, 1915. President Woodrow Wilson laid the cornerstone in a ceremony in October 1915. A copper box placed in the hollowed-out section of the cornerstone contained 15 items, including a copy of the Constitution, an American flag, and one of each of the coin and postage stamp then in existence. Memorial Amphitheater was dedicated on May 15, 1920. Judge Kimball did not live to see the amphitheater completed. He died on May 15, 1916. Some 5,000 visitors attend each of the 3 major annual memorial services held at the amphitheater. Many consider these services to be the nation's official ceremony honoring American service members.
The tomb of the unknown soldier stands on top of a hill overlooking the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. It is the center of the eastern steps of the Memorial Amphitheater. It is made of Yule marble quarried in Colorado and consists of 7 pieces for a total weight of 79 tons. Although it is referred to as the Tomb of the Unknowns, it has never been officially named. In 1921, a crypt was created for the internment of World War I unknown soldier, but the tomb was not yet complete. In December of 1928, architect Lorimer Rich and sculptor Thomas Hudson Jones, both World War I veterans, won a nationwide design competition to design the completed tomb. On April 9th, 1932, the completed tomb was unveiled. The marble sarcophagus features elaborate carvings of wreaths and 3 neoclassical figures representing peace, victory, and valor. On the side facing the Memorial Amphitheater, its inscription reads, "Here rests in honored glory an American soldier known but to God." The sarcophagus is built above the tomb of the soldier who served in World War I and sits in front of 3 marble slabs that identify the crypts of the soldiers from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. The first unknown soldier was one of those who had fallen in battle and buried in an unmarked grave in France. 4 bodies were selected, and the final selection was given to Army Sergeant Edward F. Younger, 2nd Battalion, 50th Infantry. The body was transported home on board the cruiser USS Olympia. It was then carried to the Capitol, where it lay in state until November 11th, 1921, when he was carried to his final resting place in Arlington National Cemetery. 2 more unidentified American war dead were interred in the plaza in 1958. One was killed in World War II and the other in the Korean War. A serviceman from the Vietnam War was interred in 1994, but was later exhumed due to his identification. That tomb has remained empty since March 1926 to honor these men, symbolic of all Americans who gave their lives in war. And Honor Guard, the 3rd U.S. Infantry, the Old Guard, keeps day and night vigil.
The Statue of Liberty is a colossal neoclassical sculpture on Liberty Island in New York Harbor. The copper statue is a gift from the people of France to the people of the United States. The statue is a figure of Libertas, a Roman liberty goddess. She holds a torch above her head in her right hand. She carries a tablet in her left hand inscribed July 4th, 1776 in Roman numerals. A broken shackle and chain lay at her feet as she walks forward, commemorating the abolition of slavery. For many years, she was one of the first images of the United States for millions of immigrants from around the world. The French financed the statue at a cost of about $250,000 by collecting donations from the French people. The United States paid for the pedestal through fundraisers for $300,000. The statue was constructed in France and consists of an iron inner framework over which is stretched a lightweight copper covering. She was disassembled, placed into 214 crates, loaded onto a French steamer, and arrived in New York City on June 17, 1885. 200,000 people lined the docks and hundreds of boats put to sea to welcome her. The statue was then assembled on the completed pedestal on what was then called Bedloes Island. She was dedicated on October 28, 1886, and thereafter became an icon of freedom. The statue's dedication was marked by New York City's first ticker tape parade and a ceremony presided over by President Grover Cleveland. It was declared a national monument in 1924. It was administered by the United States Lighthouse Board until 1901, then by the Department of War until 1933. And since then, it has been maintained by the National Park Service and is a major tourist attraction.
afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out and for our annual Veterans Day concerts. My name is Emma Witten, the director of the chorale, and I'd like to take a few minutes to thank everyone who made this concert possible. Firstly, thank you to Bob Lang and the Color Guard for being here today. And then to everyone on the musical side, to Betty Bryan and the combo, Joe Valent at the piano, the chorale, and all the Raiders, and finally to Laura Lee, who you can't see, but who's in the back running our beautiful slideshow. Thank you all very much.
I need to get a picture of who's operating in the back here.
We'd love to have new members for our spring semester starting in January. So please think about that. We have a lot of fun. We rehearse on Friday afternoons. So please keep that in mind. And finally, once again, thank you to all those who've served, and happy Veterans Day.